Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Senate Committee on Education. My name is Senator Angie Taylor, and I have the distinct honor of chairing this committee. Welcome here in Carson City. We have maybe someone down in Las Vegas and someone maybe on the phone line or two, and we also have two overflow rooms. It's a popular place to be. This is the place to be today. So welcome in the overflow room 2135 and also in 1214. We will begin with our roll call, Madam Secretary.
Senator Buck. Here. Senator Cruz Crawford. Here. Senator Donate. Here. Senator Dondero Loop. Here. Senator Rogish. Here. Senator Titus. Chair Taylor.
And I am present. Thank you very much, and please mark Senator Titus here when she arrives. Again, once again, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We have two bills that we're going to hear on today. We'll have Senate Bill 175, and then also the bill that everyone is interested in, Senate Bill 305. Let's go over a little housekeeping. I know there are many here, and some of you may not have been able to attend one of these sessions before. Please silence your electronic devices. We don't ask you to turn them off. You won't turn them off anyway, but you will silence them. If you'll silence them, that would be greatly appreciated. If you would like to testify, please make sure that you've signed in over at the door. And if you have a business card, please give it to our secretary. We want to make sure our notes are accurate. You will have 2 minutes of testimony. We do have a rather large crowd when we get to our second agenda item, so we will be limiting testimony on either side of the issue. We're going to do that fairly, but I want to give you a heads up. So you may not all be able to speak because we can't stay here till midnight, but we would love to hear from you. But we have another committee meeting starts at 3:30, and so we want to make sure and get you through here as best we can. When you testify, when you're able to come up and testify, please make sure you turn the microphone on and speak loudly and clearly. And when you say your name, you have to say your name every time before you speak. I know it's awkward. I'll help you remember. But the first time you say your name, please spell your last name for the record, because again, we want to make sure we have that accurately. If you've brought a handout that you would like to share, hopefully you've done that in advance and you've brought some copies with you, because whatever we have should also be available to the public. Additionally, we will take public comment. That is an opportunity to comment on any issue that's related to this committee, but that has not been covered during the meeting. I'm going to read off that telephone number for public comment at the end of the meeting. That number is 888-475-4499, and the meeting ID is 870-5442-9474. I will give that number again right before we open it up for public comment. Also, when you give your public comment again, we'll limit that to 2 minutes. If you don't get a chance to finish, it's okay. Just write it up, or maybe it's already written up. Just give it to our secretary, and she will make sure every member of the committee has those, so we can still get your full comments. And then, as we always say, if someone has already said what you've said, we welcome a really good, hearty ditto. It goes a long way. Okay, now also, just as a reminder, we are a policy committee. We do not deal with the financial issues. That is our finance committee, which is chaired by my vice chair here. So we will deal with the policies in education as they come before us. We'd also like to just say that each committee member you'll see has a laptop in front of us. We have notes in front of us, exhibits and so on. So we'll be looking at those and using those during the meeting. Please do not take that as a sign of disrespect or as inattention, but we want to follow along as best we can. And I believe that's all the housekeeping that we have in order. So we will start with Senate Bill 175, and our sponsor of that bill is Senator Rogish. So please, Senator, yourself and whomever's testifying with you. Okay, come forward. Thank you. And this is her first bill presentation as a senator. But I'm sure she is ready and will do just fine. Please, Senator, go right ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. For the record, I am Lori Rogish, representing Senate District 11. It is both an honor and a privilege to present Senate Bill 175 for your consideration today. This bill is designed to address challenges in our education system while honoring the invaluable contributions of our military personnel. This bill seeks to revise provisions governing the recognition of military credentials in the licensing and hiring of educational personnel, ensuring that the skills and expertise of our armed forces are fully utilized in our schools. It is my pleasure to introduce my legislative intern, Ivy Meyer. Mrs. Meyer is going to continue with the presentation.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It is an honor to be a part of this team. For the record, I am Ivy Meyer. At its core, this bill aims to streamline the process for members and veterans of the armed forces who have received certification as Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, JROTC instructors, enabling them to obtain teaching licenses and secure employment in school districts with greater ease and efficiency. We owe a debt of gratitude to our military personnel whose service and sacrifice have safeguarded our freedoms. Their unique qualifications, leadership, discipline, and a commitment to excellence make them ideal candidates to inspire and educate the next generation. At the same time, this bill addresses a pressing issue, the persistent shortage of qualified educators in our schools. By leveraging the expertise of our veterans, we can strengthen our education system while honoring their service. Key provisions of SB 175 include 1. Authorizing members or veterans of the armed forces certified as JROTC instructors to obtain teaching licenses in Nevada as if they had completed the state's alternative route to licensure program. This includes all forms of certification, such as temporary, provisional, or advanced certifications. 2. Ensuring applicants with JROTC certification will be recognized on par with alternative licensure programs. And 3. School districts will be required to consider military education, training, and certifications, including JROTC instructor certification, as credit toward required qualifications for skilled positions. Some of the benefits of this bill include addressing the teacher shortage. This bill provides a practical and immediate solution to the ongoing teacher shortage by expanding the pool of qualified candidates to include highly trained military personnel. This bill leverages military expertise. JROTC instructors bring a wealth of leadership skills, discipline, and real-world experience that can enrich the educational environment and serve as a source of inspiration for students. This bill supports veterans and active military members. By recognizing their credentials, we honor the service of our military personnel and facilitate their transition to meaningful civilian careers. And finally, the fiscal and administrative efficiency. In this bill, the bill reduces unnecessary administrative barriers, saving time and resources for both applicants and school districts. A fiscal note, I would like to point out that there is a fiscal note attached to this bill in the amount of $25,000, as the Department of Education would need to develop new software within the existing licensing system in order to process an application. And the inspiration for this legislation comes from the experiences of constituents like Bobby Padilla, a retired senior master sergeant from the United States Air Force. He joins us today in Las Vegas to testify. His story is a testament to the potential of this legislation and the positive impact it can have on our schools, our students, and our communities. Oh, okay, I can. Should I read this? The invitation?
I'm just here.
Okay.
And
also with us today, we have veterans of our military and active legislators. We have Senator Cruz Crawford, Assemblymember Rubin, and Assemblymember Gray. And we invite the Assemblymember Rubin De Silva. Sorry. And we also have with us today Lieutenant Colonel Scott Caldwell, Director of Washoe County School District's JROTC.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. Ruben De Silva for the record. Oh, before I get started, I just want to say that I have a Nehru jacket on today. This is not a uniform. This is it's related. There's a historical connection there, but this is for the AANHPI Heritage Month that we're also celebrating today. As a proud veteran of the United States Marine Corps, I stand before you today with a deep sense of purpose and responsibility. My service to this nation has instilled in me a profound commitment to leadership, community, and the values that make our country great. It is in this spirit that I address you regarding Senate Bill 175, a measure that seeks to remove barriers preventing veterans from continuing their service to our communities in educational roles. This situation exemplifies the challenges many veterans face when transitioning from military service to civilian life. Despite their extensive training, leadership experience, and dedication, veterans often encounter unnecessary obstacles when attempting to contribute their skills to our schools and communities. SB 175 offers a solution. This bill allows veterans and active military personnel with temporary or provisional JROTC instructor certifications to meet the requirements of Nevada's Alternative Route to Licensing program. Additionally, it ensures that school districts recognize JROTC instructor certification as credit towards any required training, experience, or licensing for employment. This change will enable veterans to work as JROTC instructors while they complete the requirement for advanced or full certification. While this is a policy committee, I would like to know that the bill does have a fiscal note, which is available on Nellis. However, the benefits of this legislation far outweigh any associated costs. And I respectfully urge your support for Senate Bill 175. Thank you.
Please go right ahead.
And in Las Vegas, we have constituent Bobby Padilla, a retired senior master sergeant from the United States Air Force. He joins us today in Las Vegas to testify.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Senators, Assembly members, and esteemed members of the Nevada State Legislature. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today in strong support of Senate Bill 175, a bipartisan effort championed by Senator Rogich to remove unnecessary barriers for qualified veterans seeking to become junior RTC instructors in Nevada.
Sergeant, I'm so sorry. There you go. Your name. Get into your name. Thank you so much.
There you go. For the record, I am retired Senior Master Sergeant Santiago Padilla, and most know me as by my nickname, Bobby Padilla. I enlisted in the Air Force in 1993 and retired after 26 years of service in 2019. I started my career as an inventory management specialist and ended my career as a Air Force Major Command Functional Manager for the Force Support career field. I served 4 tours in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and earned numerous awards, and I am a decorated veteran. In addition, I have volunteered service to my community for 20 years as a youth sports coach, teaching and mentoring our young kids the values of teamwork, resiliency, and perseverance. I would like to preface this that the statements I make regarding my junior RTC application process, I can only speak on behalf of my branch of service, which is the Air Force. In May of 2024, I started the journey to become an Air Force junior RT instructor in Nevada. And then on June 20th, 2024, I received my Air Force Junior RTC provisional certification, which reads basically, in accordance to Air Force Junior RTC Instruction 36-2010, Senior Master Sergeant Padilla has been issued a provisional certification and is clear to perform all necessary duties and responsibilities required of an aerospace science instructor if those duties are performed under the observation, supervision of a fully certified Air Force Junior RTC instructor or faculty administration official until completion of the finalization background check process. I went through the background check process, and I was able to have an opportunity to apply for a high school here in Las Vegas. But unfortunately, I was rejected on September 17, 2024, from the Nevada Department of Education, and it reads, quote, "Good afternoon. Unfortunately, it does not appear that you are eligible for the junior RTC license. Although the document from the Air Force confirms eligibility for employment, it does not confirm full certification as a junior RTC instructor. the junior RTC educator license certification is required to teach and fulfill the full duties of the certified junior RTC instructor. I provided this to the high school and I was unable to progress with the interviewing. So the issue that I found was that the Nevada doesn't recognize the Air Force provisional certification, while other states, for example, like Arizona, Washington, and California, accept the provisional certification. Candidates already meet strict federal screening requirements before being provisionally certified and therefore approved to instruct by the Air Force Junior RTC program. Nevada does not recognize the provisional certification, even though the candidate is qualified to instruct from their branch of service requirements. This means that even though I met all Air Force Junior ROTC requirements, I cannot obtain a junior ROTC license in Nevada. This state level refusal to accept a provisional certification creates an unnecessary delay that prevents Nevada schools from hiring junior RTC instructors even when they are qualified to instruct. In conclusion, I asked myself these questions. Did the Air Force approve me to be eligible to work as a junior RTC instructor? Yes. Did the Nevada Department of Education recognize the Air Force provisional certification to instruct? No. Did the principal move forward with applications without a Nevada junior RTC license? No. Was I the only one that this happened to? Most likely no. They too, the applicants that fell probably in the same condition as me, were met with the same barrier in which, due to one word, we were denied the ability to obtain the required state credentials to serve our school district. You see, the junior RTC program provides students with leadership training, discipline, and career readiness to prepare our young students to be better citizens. However, Nevada's current certification policy places barriers for highly qualified veterans from serving in these programs, even though they are vetted through their military branch and ready to teach. I urge this committee to support and pass Senate Bill 175. Bill 175 is a practical, common sense solution that removes unnecessary barriers, keeps talented instructors in Nevada, and ensures schools can fill critical JRTC positions without unnecessary delays. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant Padilla. For the record, I am Ivy Meyer. I would now like to invite Assemblymember Ken Gray to speak.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. At the risk of repeating myself, or repeating what my cohorts have said, I'm just going to go off script here real quick. And it is a pleasure, you already introduced me, Assemblyman Ken Gray for the record. It is a pleasure to appear before the hardest working committee in the Senate. Yes, I'm hoping to get some points out of that, but no, this bill really is it's a boon for Nevada. I mean, where else can you get your teachers for classes at half price? Federal government steps in, pays half, and then the school district pays half. So by denying these guys their certification, they're losing an instructor that is basically a half-off deal. It allows these military members, such as Senior Master Sergeant Padilla, to come in and utilize the skills, the unique skills that they've learned in the military, and transition them, think of it as a skills bridge, to bring those to the classroom and help these kids. The ROTC programs, they typically have a graduation rate well above 95%. So these guys working with these kids not only provide instruction, they provide mentorship. You can walk into any ROTC class and you will see kids from all walks of life, and they enjoy it. I mean, some of these kids, I'll say it, they have no hope of getting in the military, nor do they want to get in the military. And you've got ones that their life is geared towards the military. But the one thing they all have in common is doing the best they can in that program and in school. And they know that if they're not keeping their other grades up also, that they may be forced out of that program. That's why we need these instructors like Sergeant Padilla. The fact that he did not have his background check completed within, I think it was 7 months, does not surprise me at all. DCSA is very far behind in their background checks, and we're putting a further barrier in front of these guys because our own teachers, I believe, only go through a state and the federal check, the real quick federal check that the FBI does. So it makes no sense why we turn away qualified instructors when they're sitting here ready to go to work. For those reasons, I would love you guys to to support this bill. It's good for Nevada, all Nevadans. And as well, this is, I think, the first time that we've had a bill that has all of the Nevada Legislature Military Caucus on board. So thank you guys so very much, and please thoughtfully consider this bill. It is good for all of us. Thank you.
For the record, I'm Ivy Meyer. Thank you, Assemblymember Ken Gray. I would now like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Scott Caldwell, Director of Washoe County School District's JROTC, to speak.
For the record, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Scott Caldwell. I'm the Director for JROTC in the Washoe County School District. And for the fact that Clark County has not adopted a Director of Army Instruction office and position down there, I'm the senior JROTC official here in the state of Nevada. I want to thank Senator Rogish for this brilliant bill, which could have removed a lot of frustration for me over the last 7 years during our hiring process. It's very difficult to find highly qualified military folks to come to Nevada unless they were born and raised here and are returning home to fill our vacancies. And per the military services, we get a very short window to fill those positions. And for schools that have 3 or more JROTC instructors, that third position is an optional position. And if we don't fill those slots, then those slots are taken away and used in other places nationally to start new programs. So we don't need any other reasons why we want to turn instructors to go to some other state. In this case, this amazing senior master sergeant will now take his skill set to California, and he'll be helping students there because he couldn't get the licensing here. The ironic thing is, when our instructors apply for their state license, they're given a provisional JROTC license because we have some education requirements that we have to complete. So I find it odd that when a service member presents a provisional certification, they can't get a provisional license. Each of the services does this process differently. They use different terminology. So other terms such as pre-qualification don't seem to be an issue, or approved certification don't seem to be an issue. It's only this word provisional that seems to be a problem. So I really appreciate this bill. I hope that you support this bill. This will really streamline the process and ensure that when we have high qualified folks come in, we can get them in the chair quickly without what we would say in the military quibbling over a word. In that letter, if you have a copy of it from Senior Master Sergeant Padilla, it clearly states from the Air Force that this instructor is ready to enter the classroom. So it's quite clear that he has provided and completed all the requirements that he needs to have. So I'm available for any questions if you need.
For the record, my name is Ivy Meyer. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell, and for coming up to the legislature today. We would appreciate your support of Senate Bill 175, as it is a meaningful step toward removing unnecessary barriers for veterans who wish to continue serving their communities. It provides a pathway. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. We welcome any questions or concerns you may have and look forward to discussing how this bill can benefit our schools, our communities, and the brave men and women who have served our nation.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. And thanks to all of you, Senior Master Sergeant, and to the 2 Assembly members who are here, and Lieutenant Colonel. Good to see you again. And Senator, of course, for bringing this bill. We do have some questions, and we'll begin with our Vice Chair, Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation. One of my first questions is, I was wondering if anybody contacted the NDE, the Nevada Department of Education, to see if this could be fixed through regulation or if you actually needed a bill.
Lori Rogish for the record. Actually, I have not spoken to the NDE. I spoke with Lieutenant Colonel Scott.
I was just wondering
Caldwell.
because this is an NDE issue, and so a lot of times things can be fixed by contacting them, and we don't need legislation. The other thing that I guess I would like to ask is in section, just a minute, let me make sure I have the right section. Section 1, subsection 3, I think is where I am. It says may obtain a license as if such person has completed the alternative route to licensure program of this state. So when you complete an alternative route to licensure program, you actually go through some education classes and some education procedure. So as a teacher, I always equate it to, while I recognize the training and actually respect the training that they have gone through, I don't know if that same thing would apply to, I don't know, a math class. Would it apply to an English class? Because it says has completed the licensure program, which means they would have a teaching license. And I always also reflect on other occupations. I don't know how lawyers, doctors, other people might feel if we just started saying, oh, hey, this person has this training, and so we think they should be in that job. So, and the last thing that I would say when you address things is I don't think that I want a half off of a deal for anything that's in education, and that comment was made. So as a teacher who recognizes what's going on here, I think this can be fixed through regulation. I don't think the bill is necessary, but that's just my opinion as a legislator. And I would not want it to be a full license as if somebody had completed a alternative route to licensure. Thank you.
Lori Rogish for the record. Thank you, Senator Dundara-Loop. I'm going to ask Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell to answer some of the questions and explain the JROTC program and the licensure system. So.
For the record, Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell. So understand that when our instructors get their license, it's a specific license to only teach JROTC. They're not licensed to teach any other subjects. And then the second part of the question that you asked. I will say, so I've been here 7 years, and we have approached NDE numerous times to try to resolve this, and they refuse to change their policies. They accept terms such as pre-certification or certification approved, but the word provisional is the word that they seem to be focused, and they will not accept it, despite what the letter says.
Thank you very much. And I had not had any discussion about this bill prior to this hearing, so I can only tell you what this says in the bill. And what this says in the bill is that they would be completed the alternative route to licensure program of the state, and they would be having a license, which is like having a teaching license that I own or represent. Whether you're a math teacher, a librarian, an elementary teacher, it doesn't matter. When you're a teacher, you have a license that you've obtained. But I do think, I don't know who you talked to at the NDE, so that discussion we can have offline. But I do believe that this, and I've been around a little bit, this area. I do believe that this probably could be fixed by going straight to the NDE.
Senator Taylor, through you to Senator Dundara-Loop, if it's okay.
Please, Lieutenant, go direct.
Senator Loop, this issue has gone back quite a ways, even back to when Lieutenant Colonel Scott Maloth was in charge of the program up here in Northern Nevada. It has been unable to get fixed through the administrative routes, and even if it had been, by putting it in legislation, this would prevent a different interpretation farther down the road. Most of these instructors do come with an instruction background, especially when you reach Senior Master Sergeant Padilla's level and my level as a Chief Master Sergeant. We've instructed many times at professional military education institutions, which is why we choose to go on and do the programs within JROTC. I would like to refer your question to Council regarding the licensure. I do believe in Nevada, even when you get licensure, it's only for certain subjects, and this licensure would only apply to the military studies portion of of the JROTC program. It wouldn't apply to math or science unless, of course, you had that certification as well.
Well, without talking to NDE, myself personally, or the bill sponsor, I couldn't tell you that, but I can tell you that Mr. Brisky, who runs the licensure department now for the Nevada Department of Education, if I know from personally from working with him on other legislation, if he had been reached out, he would certainly answer your questions. Once again, while I recognize the instruction of that, while I recognize the importance of the ROTC, that's not what I'm questioning. What I'm questioning is that in the bill, it says that you would obtain a license as if such a person had completed an alternative route to licensure, which means they could teach something else if the district so chooses. For example, in Clark County, I'm a librarian. I had a master's in library science, K through 12. In Washoe County, the elementary schools don't have certificated librarians, but I believe the middle school and the high schools do. So different licenses cover different things, and I think that if we can do this without the legislation and cover it through regulation, that maybe that's a better way to do it. And I'd be happy to help the bill's sponsor contact the Department of Ed, because I know they're always responsive when you ask a question like that.
You'd like to respond?
Please, Madam Chair. Again, like I said, this was, I'm sorry, for the record, Assemblyman Ken Gray. My military background was as a Chief Master Sergeant in the U.S. Air Force as well, but I do want to point out that the licensure you get is specific to JROTC, and the JROTC rules do not allow you to teach any other programs. If you left the JROTC program, you would have to go through whatever the alternative licensing or licensing protocols are for whatever instruction you wanted to present, or get, as we know, it's extremely easy in this state to get a substitute license where you can go in and substitute on any class. So there are, to include long-term substitutes, but the approaching it from the administrative side, last time I checked was about 10 years ago, it was not. And it is a disparate treatment between the service branches because of the way the letters are worded. So the only ones being cut out at this point right now are the Air Force instructors that are fully trained. They just have not received their licensure because they're waiting on their background check.
And I appreciate that. There's lots of substitutes, teachers, and others who are waiting on background checks as well. And I will tell you, it is not easy to get a substitute license. You have to have 60 hours of college, background check, fingerprinting, et cetera, And so I don't know your line of work, but I can tell you what my line of work is.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Let me correct my words. Not extremely easy, but as far as...
Your name, please?
I'm sorry, Assemblyman Ken Gray for the
I
record.
know. Thank you.
It's weird being on this side. That was a bad choice of words. Not easy, but comparatively speaking, with regards to what our guys come to the table with, I would be willing to say that probably Senior Master Sergeant Padilla not only has an associate's, but he also has probably a bachelor's and maybe even a master's, which is what most Air Force senior enlisted folks come out with.
And I'm not questioning what Mr. Padilla has. I'm not questioning what any of you have. What I'm saying is what it says in this bill. And I'm telling you, as a person who has been around and around the merry-go-round with education legislation and as a certificated educator, this can be fixed by regulation. I'm just telling you that. Like I said, I can't tell you how to do your job. I can't tell Senator Rogich how to do her job as a lawyer, but I can tell you what I know on my side. So, we don't want a half of a deal of a teacher. We don't want an easy route to licensure. We want the most certificated, qualified person that we can get. And so all you need to do, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, is talk to Director Brisky, and I'm sure that it can be worked out.
Would you like to respond, Senator Rogich?
Yes, please.
Please go right ahead.
Lori Rogish for the record. Thank you, Senator Dondero-Loop. Be happy to reach out to Mr. Brisky at the Nevada Department of Education, and also perhaps, if it cannot be resolved, looking at a conceptual amendment and working together to resolve it.
Well, maybe we don't have any technology. Don't say that. I'd be happy to work with you. Like I said, this is the first time I've heard about this bill, so.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Buck, you have a question?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Taylor. Was wondering if this could work under, I know there's a creative business and industry license. I'm an educator too, much like my colleague, Senator Dondero-Loop, have a educator license, but I know there's a business and industry license that's more specialized. I know I couldn't teach junior ROTC. I couldn't teach aviation pilots. I couldn't teach violin, which I think are some of these subject areas. So I was wondering if there is a way to work this into the business and industry licensure in that aspect.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator Buck. I actually am going to refer to Lieutenant Colonel.
You mind identifying yourself, Senator, please?
Lori Rogish.
Thank you.
Senator I refer to Lieutenant Colonel Scott Caldwell with regard to the questions.
Yeah, for the record, Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell. So to answer your question, I really don't think that's necessary. The instructors are already, again, per the letter, certified to teach JROTC. It's not a matter, the issue isn't the subject. The issue seems to be not wanting to grant a provisional teaching license for JROTC to an instructor that is provisionally qualified. I think it's a hang-up around that word. Because we fought this and haven't been successful, my concerns about trying to again, renegotiate that with a current director. What happens when that director leaves and someone else comes in? Are we going to find ourselves back here again because we're having the same issue? So it feels like a more permanent solution would be in effect. And I do get frustrated when I read that letter and I see exactly what it says, and I don't understand why someone on the other end can't look at that and say the military service is saying that this person is ready for the classroom. For all the services, within a year, we have to go take in-person training. There are things we have to do before we've finished all of our basic training. But when the letter specifically says this person is ready, why are we ignoring that? And again, you can't jump from no license to a standard JRTC license. You have to do that provisional one. So the words seem to work to me. Here's my provisional certification letter. I'd like to have my provisional license so that I can get in the classroom and start getting paid and doing the things that I want to do. So
then I wonder if it's like it'd be a military license or something. How do other states do this? How do other states make this work and we don't?
Again, Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell, for the record, I don't have experience with other states, but I will tell you we do have all the other services here, and this wording from the Air Force, that seems to be the issue. The Army letter says pre-qualified. The Marine Corps letter says approved certification. Even though we still have things we have to do yet, they seem to be wrapped around this word provisional for some reason. And again, the services, as you all know, are big machines. It's very difficult to get them to change things. So it's easier, and I think correct with Senator Rogers, that we're going to address this here at our level at the state so that we don't have this issue again in the future. Thank you.
Senator Buck, you're good. Okay, thank you. Senator Cruz Crawford.
Thank you, Chair Taylor. I wanted to address a few things when Senator Rogich came to each one of us that serve to present this issue. I was excited. I am still excited because as a current serving military member and also a principal, I have principals reach out to me all the time. I can't fill this position. I can't fill this position. And I knew we needed a solution. However, the same thing Senator Dondero-Loop concern was with that Section 1 3, I went to Senator Rogich. I was like, I just want to make sure this isn't an ARL license. It's only specifically to teach JROTC. So we do need to work on that wording. We addressed it with the CTE department and also some of our legal. I do believe that wording needs to be hammered out because right now it does look like it's for an alternative route to licensure, which is different. So if we actually hand this to DOE and say our goal is certification, and Senator Buck does have a point, there is a CTE type licensing that this might fall under. I think we're trying to lead with a solution instead of the problem. So there might be multiple routes to deal with this. But this is a need. We do have a lot of openings. I know you probably don't have offhand, but I'd love some data on the number of openings we have in our state so we can identify that need. JROTC is basically, at the very least, teaching our students those soft skills, those leadership skills, all those things we were talking about with Portrait of a Learner, and then leading also at the very most you can get from the program is really our next generation of officers and or enlisted leaders. So I am excited to help with the pipeline. I just want to get it right because as a principal, I'll have people all the time come to me and be like, I want to be a librarian. I want to be a speech pathologist. And I say, okay, well, here's the schooling you need to do. Here's your credentials. And I don't think this was the intent, but to say, oh, you get your ARL license through the certificate, it really downgrades what we're trying to do with education, with leveling the bar. So I would also recommend to meet with the Department of Ed to hammer out this section 1, part 3 language and in order to build that pipeline. I'm excited to work offline so that we also keep the bar up for educators in general and also fill this need, this very important need in our state. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Rogich.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator Cruz Crawford. And we will work with legal counsel on the language and also with the Nevada Department of Education. And we'll get you the data as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. As you know, if you just have someone get the data to our committee secretary and she can make sure and distribute it to us, if you would, and thank you for gathering that. I do have a couple of questions, if I may. Lieutenant Colonel, I'm going to start with you. Will you talk us through a little bit, obviously with my background as a former school board president, right? Talk through us a little bit what happens at Hug High School in Reno, because I know that's the largest ROTC program in the state, and I know there are instructors there and so on. Talk to us about how they manage to do that. It may be challenging or not, but can you just talk to us a little bit about that?
For the record, Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell, was managing to do?
To have instructors that are not certified teachers.
Well, again, all of our instructors are licensed to teach JROTC.
No, I mean licensed in the state of Nevada. I certainly understand they're licensed to teach the ROTC, but part of what I'm understanding is that what's being required of them is a teaching certificate in the state of Nevada, and this is attempting to change that so that the certification they get from the military is acceptable, so to speak. Am I misreading this, Senator?
Yeah. So again, for the record, Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell. So I think so all the instructors from all these services initially start off reaching out to their service. They fill out an application. They take a physical exam. There are a host of requirements for them to reach the level of certification where they receive this initial letter that says you are now ready to go to a high school and receive your interview. They complete that process. That then triggers, if they're accepted, an intent to hire letter. That goes to the military services. That then triggers the CNACI background check, which is a really in-depth federal background check. Takes typically 2 to 3 months. In Senior Master Sergeant Padilla's case, it was 7 months. We've come up with a solution here in Washoe County where during that gap when you're waiting, we don't want that person to go away. So we get them a long-term sub license. We put them in the classroom in the position that they're going to fill so they can start working, start getting paid, and getting familiar with that. When the 2 to 3 months expires, usually they get their CNACI background check is approved. That triggers the military service to calculate their minimum instructor pay, so they'll get a letter to the school district and to the instructor and says, here's your pay, it's all ready to go. Now you need to go to NDE and apply for your license. So they provide that background check, they provide that certification letter to them to get a provisional JROTC teaching license. Provisional because they have to complete a 3-hour college course usually is required within 3 years, and then the professional development hours to be upgraded to a standard license. So the issue that's happening is that the letter from the Air Force specifically says, congratulations, you have your provisional certification, you're allowed to be in the classroom, but you still have to do your in-person course at, Maxwell Air Force Base or wherever it is. And so when that letter has been received by NDE, they're like, we don't accept the provisional letter. We need to see a fully certified letter, which they don't have yet. The Army letter says pre-qualification. That doesn't seem to be an issue. Our instructors are getting their provisional state license. The Marine Corps letter says approved certification, even though they still have to complete some in-person training within the next year. So that seems to be the stumbling block. And if you can't get that provisional JRTC license, you're not going to get paid your full pay. So now the instructor has a choice. Do I stay here getting long-term sub pay until such time as I wait 1 year before I can go to Maxwell Air Force Base and have this training? Do I move on to another state, or I can immediately get that provisional license and start getting paid the full compensation that I deserve? And so that's seems to be the issue, is they're hung up on provisional status of that letter.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. So really, the issue is, as you've experienced it, and the intention of Senate Bill 175 is the Air Force letter. The word provisional that's in the.
For the record, Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell, yes, that seems to be the one that they get stuck on. And again, I gave some different copies to the senator from all the different service letters so you can see the difference. But it's clear in all those letters that this person, from the military view, is ready to go in the classroom. So that's the challenge.
Okay, so that I just wanted to focus in on what. So that's the. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. Senator Rogich, so is that the intention is to address that issue with the Air Force, or is it really broader than that?
Lori Rogish, for the record. My understanding is when the constituent came to me and we discussed, and in this particular case it was with regard to the Air Force, and I was unfamiliar with the other branches until speaking with Lieutenant Colonel Scott Crawford, and so getting an understanding, but again, there is a continued barrier that exists, and this is an opportunity to streamline it and open up that pathway to having these JROTC instructors in the classroom.
Thank you, Senator. Assemblyman?
Assemblyman Ken Gray for the record. To address that issue, ma'am, yes, the Air Force is the one that precipitated this event, and they continually be, I love my branch, but they continue to be the fly in the ointment. But this would also prevent any reinterpretations of the others down the road that, based on their wording, that they all say the same thing, but they're interpreted differently. So by enacting this, it would clear the way for everybody and not leave it open to interpretation again. And as far as the way other states do it, I can tell you that Arizona, California, and Washington, they do allow it. So as to that, how California does it, Senior Master Sergeant Padilla may be able to directly answer that one head on, because he is leaving this state to take a position in California.
I appreciate that, Assemblyman. I think it's more of other states are doing it and so on, and I think that point has been made. Lieutenant Colonel, you want to chime in?
Yeah, for the record, Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell. Just so one last thing, the way the services do this, it does change, and so I think the bill is broad enough that it's not just it's addressing the Air Force issue and the letter and the verbiage right now, but all these services constantly change how they do their requirements. So I think this will protect us for the future, that no matter what kind of terminology and how these letters are morphed or whatever the training process is for the services, if NDE will accept the letter and the verbiage in there says this person is ready to go in the classroom, no matter what terminology is used, that there won't be anything blocking them from getting that provisional license.
Yeah, no, thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. I think that I understand that part. Just one other question. and this is Senator Rogich in the bill, it talks about, is it required for, should the letter be received? It is for three of the services. We know there isn't one, but for those that it is received, do they have to work? Is it required for them to work under a certified teacher?
Thank you, Chair. I believe that they have to be under the supervision of a certain instructor, correct?
For the record, Lieutenant Colonel Caldwell. So when they get that additional clearance, and like in this letter, we call it LOSS, line of sight supervision. So until they finish that complete one, they're supposed to be there with other certified JRTC instructors. In this case, it specifically lays that out in the letter. When we've had instructors get that LOSS clearance, that's not the full CNACI background clearance, but it's an interim clearance that says you can go ahead and get in a classroom now as long as you're there with other certified instructors, so we can get you working while we're waiting for this 2 to 3 month process to get their full CNACI background check. So it's important.
Okay, I appreciate that. From the committee members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we will open it up now for testimony in support. And then, to support, opposition, and neutral. So if you wouldn't mind just stepping back for a moment, and we'll open up the table for testimony. If you are here in Carson City or in Las Vegas and you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 175, please come and fill the chairs at this moment. If you're on the phone line and you'd like to call in, I'll give that phone number again, 888-475-4499. And the meeting ID is 870-5442-9474. And we see we have a couple of people want to give testimony. Just please state your name for the record, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Susan Kima, and I'm the Executive Director for the Nevada Association of School Superintendents. And on behalf of districts, we support SB 175. We support eliminating any barriers for veterans to teach JROTC in Nevada. Thank you for your time and attention to this bill.
Thank you, Ms. Kima.
Chair and committee members, my name is Andrew Lepelbit. I'm the chairman of the United Veterans Legislative Council, representing the nearly 250,000 veterans in our state and the 500,000 Nevadans when you include their families in Nevada. The UVLC is in support of this bill. I do recognize, having listened to the testimony so far, Senator Dondero Loop, I think there's a path there administratively, and then I understand the other testimonies is, a change of leadership could affect that path. Why not do both? Get it accomplished through the administrative task, but pass the bill to codify it in law so someone later doesn't change the design of the sentences in that, the way we're looking at them. So we support this bill entirely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lepelbit. Please go right ahead. Just remember to state your name for the record, sir.
Name is Bill Gray, not related to Ken Gray.
Okay.
I spell it
Thank
with
you,
an
sir.
E, not an A. I represent Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 989, right here in Reno, and we have 297 members, active members in our group, and we are in full support of this legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Is there anyone else here in Carson City? Pausing for a moment to give anyone in either of the overflow rooms an opportunity to come. Here, seeing none, then we'll go to Las Vegas. Seeing no one coming forward in Las Vegas, we will go to the phone lines. AVH, is there anyone who would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 175 on the phone line?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of Senate Bill 175, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you so much. Now we'll open up the floor for anyone who would like to testify in opposition. Anyone here in Carson City or in Las Vegas who would testify in opposition to Senate Bill 175, please come forward. Okay, I saw people walking, didn't know they were not coming forward. Anyone on the phone lines, AVH, who would like to testify in opposition?
To testify in opposition to Senate Bill 175, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you so much. And then finally, anyone who would like to testify neutral? Neutral on Senate Bill 175, seeing none coming forward in Carson City or in Las Vegas. AVH, let's check the phone lines one more time. Anyone who would like to testify neutral?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in neutral to Senate Bill 175, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you so much. Senator Rogich, Ms. Meyer, would you like to have any closing words?
Ivy Meyer, for the record. We would appreciate your support of Senate Bill 175 as it is a meaningful step toward removing unnecessary barriers for veterans who wish to continue serving their communities. We will continue to work on amendments for this bill, and this bill is a testament to our commitment to veterans, students, and the future of our state. Thank you so much for hearing about Senate Bill 175 today.
Lori Rogish, for the record. Thank you so much.
Thanks to both of you, and thanks so much to the veterans who came out to support and to be a part of this. We appreciate your service. Okay, thank you. Okay, we do have another bill to hear, and that is Senate Bill 305. We have some folks who were stuck in Las Vegas due to the closing of the airport last evening. They are close and en route, very close, so we're going to take a recess until they get here. They're going to be a part of the presentation. It should be only about 10 minutes, I believe. About 10 minutes, so 10-minute recess, and when they come back in, we will get started. I'm told that they are close, so we should be just a few minutes away. Okay, we are back in session. Now we just close the hearing on Senate Bill 175, and now we will open the hearing on Senate Bill 305. And this bill revises provisions relating to interscholastic activities. And our presenter before us is Senator Danyante and others. So we'll turn it over to you, Senator, whenever you are ready, please begin. And you remember, you have 15 minutes to present.
Thank you so much, Chair, and good afternoon. Good afternoon to the members of the Senate Committee on Education. For the record, my name is Fabian Danyante, and I represent Senate District 10 in the heart of Las Vegas. Today, I'm here to present on Senate Bill 305, a bill committed to building Nevada's future in sports entertainment, and I'm here to join by Mr. Paul Speaker, the CEO of the Desert Dogs. Today, we will go through SB 305's bill language, national trends related to the provision, and expected impact. So, what brings us here today? We're talking about an act relating to interscholastic activities and requiring the NIAA to adopt regulations that designate lacrosse as a sanctioned sport. It also includes other information regarding a fund to support certain infrastructure and the services of pupils who participate. And just to go over the bill language really quickly, Senate Bill 305 directs the NIAA to adopt regulations that designate lacrosse as a sanctioned sport, putting it on equal footing with other high school sports in Nevada. This includes setting eligibility and participation standards, creating competition rules, and establishing the length of the lacrosse season and practice start dates. The bill ensures a safety guidelines aligned with existing regulations under NRS 385B, and it would also establish a pipeline infrastructure fund to develop and manage the infrastructure and provide wraparound support services for our student athletes. The reason why we brought this, of course, today, as you'll hear, is that lacrosse has been one of the fastest growing team sports in the United States over the last few decades, with participation growing in our high schools. And additionally, the International Olympic Committee has approved lacrosse's inclusion in the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. And lastly, just to conclude my remarks, let's talk about the impact of lacrosse in our economy. This bill aligns K-12 lacrosse programs with professional sports teams by creating a pathway for students to become professional athletes. Official recognition will unlock new funding opportunities, expand athletic sponsorship and recruitment efforts, and promote inclusivity in the sports. On the economic side, sanctioning lacrosse will drive tourism and local economic growth through tournaments and events, creating new coaching and sports administration jobs, and further enhance Nevada's reputation as the sports and entertainment capital of the world. So at this time, I will go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you for a travel schedule to this morning and into the afternoon, and thank you for your time, Chairwoman and Vice Chair and the entire Chairman, for again accommodating us and spending some time with us. My name is Paul Speaker. I am the CEO of the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, and I'm excited to be here today and walk you through a little bit of lacrosse and kind of its importance. We'll start off with the indigenous roots. Lacrosse's origins can be traced back as early as the 20th century. It's the longest running team sport in North America. It's also the fastest growing sport in the U.S. We've seen about 22.6% increase in girls teams in the U.S. and 18.3% increase in boys teams since 2018 over the last 6 years. The western states are one of the fastest growing regions. Everybody recognizes the East Coast has had lacrosse for a long time, but we've seen it move across the Mississippi into California, Utah. On the sanction side, we've basically California sanctioned high school varsity lacrosse in 2016, and Utah followed suit in 2024. On the college side, we've seen a 97% increase in growth in women's teams and 60% growth in men's teams since 2000. New college programs have been added for women at San Diego State after sanctioned in California, and for men at the University of Utah. Currently in Nevada, the University of Nevada, Reno is the only college with a club program. Passing this bill will no doubt influence colleges to add lacrosse, such as UNLV. On the professional growth side, there are two men's professional leagues, the NLL, which is an indoor league, which the Las Vegas Desert Dogs play in. That's the National Lacrosse League. And then there's the Premier Lacrosse League, which is outdoor. The National League Lacrosse chose Las Vegas as their expansion city. Our partners on that, not only our owner, Joe Tsai, but also Wayne Gretzky, Dustin Johnson, and Steve Nash. On the women's side, the Premier Lacrosse League, the PLL, just launched for the first ever women's lacrosse professional league in November of 2024. These leagues continue to see growth year over year in TV audience, attendance, and fandom. Next slide, please. On the USA lacrosse side, in October of 2023, the Olympic Committee, the IOC, announced the inclusion of lacrosse in the LA 28 Olympics. This will be the first time for women's lacrosse and the first time since 1948 for men's lacrosse. It's a huge step to expand lacrosse's footprint as a mainstream sport, and especially for youth that will watch from home. Thank you, Senator. On the USA Lacrosse side, Elevate 28 is a new program that USA Lacrosse has announced the formation of. The goal of this organization is to double the participation in lacrosse to 4 million in the next decade. This group of established entities include Josiah Sports, the owner of the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. We've all come together to ensure equal access to the sport through strategic initiatives and platforms. The goal of this bill is to help youth in Nevada have a chance to aspire to and achieve playing lacrosse at the next level, whether in college, professionally, or the ultimate goal of being part of Team USA in the Olympics. Passing this bill can help us to do just that. Thank you. Next slide. Youth participation in Nevada. Youth participation in lacrosse in Nevada has grown tremendously over the last 4 years. However, there is still a long way to go. There's a total of 32 high schools, 25 middle schools in Las Vegas and Reno combined that currently have programs. 6 club organizations. The University of Nevada, Reno, as I mentioned before, is the only university with a club team. I think a really interesting thing to really think about with lacrosse as opposed to other sports, there was a national survey done, and the positive outcomes, specifically for girls who participate in lacrosse, girls lacrosse athletes among all sports in the U.S., girls lacrosse athletes rank highest in these 4 areas. 1, positive self-esteem. 2, more social support. Number 2, in graduating from college. And number 2, in health under psychosocial. So it's really, really healthy for young women to participate in this sport. 99% graduation rate amongst Division I women's lacrosse players. 51% of girls high school lacrosse players earned an average, an AA minus average, and 28% of boys. There's 5 annual, so just as it talks about, really kind of heads and beds and all of the things that you guys think about in Las Vegas as a tourist attraction, there are a tremendous amount of annual tournaments, 5 annual tournaments for both boys and girls that draw over 3,500 participants annually. This bill will help supercharge this effort and give young athletes the opportunity to compete for a state championship and be noticed by more colleges for scholarship opportunities. We at the Desert Dogs have been supporting since the inception of the team 3 years ago. The Desert Dogs formed in 2002 as an expansion team in the NLL, and it's backed by Josiah, as I mentioned, Wayne Gretzky, and Steve Nash, and Dustin Johnson. We have a long-term commitment to Nevada, and growing lacrosse in the community is really important for us. To that end, we are currently committed to educating and training youth through our free clinics and summer camps. We started the first 2-sport camp, Camp 99, with Wayne Gretzky. So it's a combination of hockey and lacrosse. We will do that again this year. It's in a partnership with the Las Vegas Golden Knights and the Silver Knights. And we're excited about participation growing. So it's a great program where you can spend a full week going back and forth, lacrosse in the afternoon, hockey in the morning. We've had several free clinics over the past 3 years, and we are committed to making lacrosse more accessible to the youth in Nevada. One of the programs that we're really excited about is Sticks for Success, the school program that we have. We have implemented, through the Desert Dogs, we've implemented the Sticks for Success school program, and through this program have visited over 40 schools in order to teach PE teachers lacrosse and instruct them on how to teach the game to students as part of their curriculum. We work hand in hand with USA Lacrosse to develop a curriculum that's specific for grade schoolers and high schoolers, so that they can actually get sticks in hand and be prepared when there's an adoption of a varsity sport at the school level. Our players and staff have introduced the game of lacrosse to over 7,000 students through this program, and we're committed to working with local community leaders to expand and improve current recreational resources and through building new lacrosse-focused complexes to make the sport more accessible for all youth in Nevada. Talking about the economic growth, as the senator said, there can be a hub for Nevada can be the hub for lacrosse, and this bill is a step in the right direction. Nevada has huge potential to be a hub for youth lacrosse with expanded infrastructure, organized leagues, more tournaments, training facilities, and camps for youth will all be generated through this program. This sanction can also draw residents of nearby states to train and participate in camps, clinics, and tournaments. With this sanction, teams will be able to travel to Nevada, coming out of Utah and California, to play high school teams in Nevada. Currently, without the sanction, this is not allowed. This can help bolster the local economy and help local businesses thrive. In closing, I support the passing of Senate Bill 305 as a parent of 4 daughters. We moved 15 years ago from the East Coast to California, and outside of Los Angeles. All 4 of my daughters played lacrosse. There was not one women's program, a travel program, a young women's program, a school program for them to play lacrosse. So their lacrosse years were then ended. They did play some Division I tennis and some other things, but we all missed that opportunity in lacrosse, and I think it's really important for us to move forward. I've seen, passing this bill will give young Nevada women and the same opportunity to compete at the highest levels and help young men pursue their dreams at the same time. So thank you for your time.
Chair Fabian Dunyate, for the record, for the sake of time, we're happy to answer any questions. We did have a video, but I believe it probably makes sense to just skip that and go straight to questions. So I think we're ready.
Thank you, Senator. And thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know you just barely hit the ground and made your way here, so we appreciate you sticking in there through all the wind and cancellations and so on. We will open it up to the committee for any questions for starters. Senator Titus? You were quiet last time, so you're due.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here, and I appreciate the effort for you to be here in person. Senator, I'm curious, and I asked you this, so I just want to get it on the record. Why the need for the study per se? Do other programs, when we expand a sports program, is there typically a study to do this? Is there a need for study? Is that how it's been expanded in other states?
Thank you so much, Fabian Dunyate, for the record. So the bill was filed several months ago prior to the legislative session. I think one of the the study itself is separate from the provisions of lacrosse. The rationale for why the study was included was, I think that over the long term, we've seen this in discussions with football and other sports as to what would it take for us to align our economy or our local sports infrastructure to professional sports so that students have the pipeline to go play in high school, play in college, and in some way, shape, or form, hopefully they can stay here to play in professional sports. The question that has come up over time is, have we developed the infrastructure to actually provide wraparound services for student athletes as they're going through high school education? Because a lot of the time that infrastructure and support services are at the collegiate level, not at the high school level. And so the goal was, if this bill was to be passed, that over the next 2 years, we can take a look back at how can we ensure that athletes of the state are supported so that they can go to UNLV or UNR and actually participate, and then eventually maybe if they wanted to, they can go be a professional athlete or go represent us on Team USA and so forth. And so that was the rationale for that section of the bill.
Thank you for that. And I guess as I also mentioned to you, I'm a sports enthusiast, and I certainly watch a lot of sports, especially now with March Madness and the Knights. Having said that, however, when we watch these collegiate sports on TV, usually the colleges will say, listen, 99.9% of our students, athletes, don't go to professional careers in sports. What's most important is their education. And so I just wanted to kind of having the presentation about the pipeline for professional sports, it has me a little concerned as opposed to the benefits of participating in sports and not emphasizing, oh, you might become a professional at this. Because I know that, again, most student athletes do not become professionals. It's more important all the things you gain from participating in a team sport, or, and you yourself, Senator, said that the benefits of being an athlete, the cooperation, the team spirit, and all those things you gain. And it's not the professional sport component of it that's the most important. And so could you kind of clarify that, where this emphasis on the becoming a professional is?
Thank you so much, Fabian Dunyate, for the record. That's correct. So the intention was to provide support so that students that want to participate in athletes or in athletics at the high school level obviously have the support to participate. The thing that we've noticed, of course, is that, and there's a lot of studies to back this up as well, that students that participate in sports are generally have better higher academic achievement, but not all of that is the case, right? And so we want to make sure that as they're going through school, that they actually have the participation or the support to participate because of the benefits that you are mentioning. And so if there's an amendment that needs to come forward to make that more aligned, I'm happy to work with you on that as well. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Buck?
Thank you so much, Chair Taylor, and thank you for the presentation. I, for one, work with youth in my day job, and I love the idea of having another opportunity for children to be involved and especially active. I was wondering, though, you had mentioned something, and I guess I need clarification about it, about that you can't host tournaments here because we're not a sanctioned sport, or it's not allowed, was said. So could you go into a little bit more depth with that?
Paul Speaker, for the record. Yes, right now, if as an unsanctioned state, you can't play other sanctioned states in any kind of interstate play. The tournaments also, if you are coming here for tournament play, you'll increase them because you'll just have way more kids playing lacrosse. So they're two separate things. The 5 tournaments that come here will be increased by having more participation at the state level. And secondarily, you'll be able to play California, you'll be able to play Utah in sanctioned opportunities for high schools.
So can our teams go to Utah because they're sanctioned and play them? No.
No.
Oh, wow.
So sanction to sanction, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And on the
I
other
didn't
side
know
of it, one of the greater things is that you can have kids playing for state championships like they do in other sports.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Buck. Vice Chair Dondero-Loop?
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today. My questions are around the NIAA and working with them. Have you talked with them, and is that how you came up with your list of the pieces that they need to change the provisions, or are these your recommendations? Can you go into that a little bit?
Thank you so much, Fabian Doñate, for the record. You're referring, Senator, just to be clear, you're referring to Section 2 of the bill?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So these are the requirements that generally exist for when a sport becomes sanctioned. It's the same requirements traditionally in other states, right, that they set the ground rules as to what everyone plays for. We are in preliminary discussions with the NIAA in terms of what the right protocol or procedure is. There are different structures as to how they survey students and so forth. And so this section would pretty much read that they would start the process to setting the ground rules. It's not a mandate that every school has to set one up, but at least that they all have this opportunity to, if they wanted to establish such a program at their high school, that they can participate if they wanted to.
Okay, and where you say under, and it may be that it goes with the funding, I couldn't quite figure out, under Section 3C where you said provide wraparound services, are you referencing the funding, or are you referencing wraparound services within the sport?
Thank you so much, Fabian Doñate, for the record. Excellent question. So in Section 3, now it talks, this is the part of the presentation that we were referring to about what are the support services that we need to develop so that we can cultivate athletes in our schools and programs. And so it's not specifically tied to lacrosse. It's more broad to in general. And so a good example of a wraparound services would be tutoring support for students that are athletes. And so it wouldn't be just unique to lacrosse. It's more in general. And so the NIA would be able to accept grants and donations now based on what this section of the bill would establish.
Okay, thank you very much. And I have some other questions, but they belong in another committee that I chair. So we'll wait for those. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. And thank you, Senator. And again, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that sounds weird, Mr. Speaker, huh? Not that speaker, but no, really, thank you for being there. I do have a couple of questions. And you mentioned a little bit that you've kind of had conversations with the NIA, but you haven't really gone very far with them, but just kind of surface level. My question is, does the NIA doesn't, I shouldn't say that because I think they do, have a process for adding sports, and why not go through that process?
Thank you so much, Fabian Doñate, for the record. So one of the things that we discovered is and I'll use just as an example, flag football was probably one of the ones that was most recently established and sanctioned through that process. The difficulty right now is the accessibility of understanding the process of how it becomes sanctioned as a sport. And so if you're a general member of the public, you wouldn't have been able to find that as currently. And so that was kind of the challenges that we were facing in terms of why it was necessary. And I think the second question is, there's this idea that if you don't have the surveys or so folks of students that want to participate, that it makes it more challenging to advocate for the sanctioning of a sport. And so for flag football, that process took 4 years before they even got to the point where they can sanction it. Our idea was, because we have, we're in a different situation because we have a professional sports team in our state, right? There's already going to be a drawn interest to that platform. And so ideally what we wanted to do is at least establish the rules so that schools can start aligning themselves to do that process. But and speaking with the NIA, they also have the ability to do an open division, which if there might be something of what we're looking at as well. And the idea was,
why don't you explain open division for those that may not know what that is?
So maybe do not for the record. So that process essentially, so when you sanction a state sport, from my understanding, a high school will determine at that point, yes, I want to establish this program. I have student interest. We have the ability to start a girl or boys program. At that time, right, there's an alignment where many of the students that participated in that club sport would now sign up to be a part of the sanctioned sport, which means that they can compete versus against other high schools. There is a process of establishing an open division, which essentially would, if I understand this correctly, that you wouldn't be necessarily tied to a program or school, but you can still participate as a sport is going through full sanctioning. And so full sanctioning is the final end step for it to be participatory, but this is that would be the first route to start that process. That's from my understanding.
Okay, thank you, Senator. I think we'll see what happens as we get more comments, because I would like to hear from the NIA on that, right, in terms of what that piece is. The other thing is in the bill, which is just different, right? In Section 3, Sub A and Sub B, it talks about the NIAA really being involved in promoting the sport, contracting people that would help grow the sport, with people who would help grow the sport and develop it. That, so you anticipate that. Help me understand. I just haven't seen that model before. It doesn't mean it isn't there. It just means I don't know about it. That the NIAA would be responsible for that as opposed to schools or communities. Walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Fabian Nuñate for the record. So let me give an example as to how this can benefit, or how this could be stood up as a side note if the bill was to be passed. So there's an example of let's refer to football, right? Football is a good example. Many of the structures or problems that we're having right now is oftentimes the students that go to high school and become football players and want to go play professionally, either at UNLV or UNR or et cetera, beyond that, feel like they have not been given the right support systems in terms of participating in that sport and moving on beyond that, right? In terms of, like, as I mentioned earlier, at the university level, you would be given coaching, you'd be given advice in terms of financial assistance, how you can become a professional athlete and so forth. And so the idea was, because the NIA traditionally is just focused on setting the ground rules and so forth, that if there was a donor that came by, or if multiple donors that said, we want to provide more support, either doing financial training for students or so forth, that the NIA would have the ability to do so as part of this fund. And so that was the idea of why it would be established.
Thank you, Senator. So just in terms of follow-up, that, and all of this, I know this isn't a finance committee, Vice Chair, so don't get on me. But I just want to make sure I understand the policy behind it. So the NIAA would do that only if there was a donor, or that's a part of what is that must, or is that prescriptive?
It's Fabian Nuñate for the record. It's prescriptive, so that if they wanted to accept these funds for these particular wraparound services, et cetera, they would have the ability to do so.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Do you have any other questions from committee members? Okay, seeing none, then we will ask you to step back. And we have a lot of people here, I'm sure, that would like to testify. And as I mentioned earlier, there are many of you, and I wish we could stay here and hear all of it. because I know you've all come, and we appreciate that, especially the high school athletes. That's cool to see. But we will have 20 minutes on each side, 20 minutes in support, 20 minutes in opposition, and 20 minutes neutral on this issue. And we will start, there are other committee meetings. In fact, there's a committee that needs that room in Las Vegas. And so we will begin with support testimony from Las Vegas. If there's anyone in Las Vegas who would like to testify in support, please come forward. Your comment should not be more than 2 minutes. And because there's so many that would like to speak, it's okay to come up here and get up and say ditto. We like a good ditto around here, just as a hint. But as you do speak, God bless you. This is in support. Just what we'd like for you to do, make sure you turn your microphone on and then say your name and spell your last name for the record. But gentlemen, we're going to start in Las Vegas because they need that room, okay? All right, why don't we go ahead in Las Vegas? Just whomever would like to be first, turn your microphone on and then state your name for the record, and you'll have 2 minutes.
My name is Dacia Persky, last name spelled Persky. And I am proud to represent Vegas Strong Lacrosse and Bishop Gorman High School. As a Las Vegas native and as someone who proudly says that I grew up playing lacrosse in Las Vegas, I was fortunate to experience the sport at its peak when there were multiple varsity, JV, and middle school girls teams. The accessibility of the sport at the time provided me with ample opportunities to grow as a player and an individual, eventually earning a scholarship to play lacrosse at the collegiate level. When I returned to Las Vegas in 2020, I was saddened to see the drastic decline in girls lacrosse, shrinking to just 5 total teams. Determined to reignite the sport's presence, I immersed myself in coaching and founded Vegas Strong Lacrosse, a 501c3 organization dedicated to making the game financially accessible and widely available to female athletes. Through year-round programming and a commitment to inclusivity, we have seen firsthand the transformative impact of accessibility. In just 2 years, our club has grown to over 120 players, spanning ages 10 to 18. We have sent 10 young women to play lacrosse at the collegiate level, with another 8 committed to NCAA programs next fall. Our local league, NVLS, has also experienced steady growth, with a 5% year-over-year increase since 2020, bringing us to 220 registered players this spring. As I read these statistics, I'm thrilled by the progress we have made as a community. However, I strongly believe that lacrosse is growing at a fraction of what it could be, primarily due to the lack of school support and recognition. Just this year, 7 of my club athletes were denied the opportunity to sign their national letters of intent at their local high schools simply because their schools do not acknowledge lacrosse as a supported program. Imagine the impact if their peers had witnessed them using lacrosse as a pathway to collegiate success. With surrounding states like California and Utah sanctioning high school lacrosse, more college lacrosse programs than ever before, a newly launched professional women's league, and lacrosse making its Olympic debut in 2028, the opportunities for girls lacrosse athletes are limitless. I truly believe now is the time to invest in the future of lacrosse in Nevada, ensuring that every girl has a chance to play, compete, and achieve their dreams in Nevada and beyond. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, and thank you for timing your comments because you're right at 2 minutes. All right, thank you so much. In Las Vegas, please go ahead and just state your name for the record.
My name is Mason McClay, last name spelled McLay, and I'm a sophomore at Pinecrest Academy, Sloan Canyon here in Henderson, Nevada. Today I'm here to voice my support for Senate Bill 305. Lacrosse is more than just a sport, it's a way for student athletes to build strong relationships, develop discipline, and learn valuable leadership skills. As a player, lacrosse has taught me the importance of hard work and time management. Balancing practices, games, and schoolwork has helped me become more responsible and organized. Additionally, the sport has given me a sense of belonging and requires teamwork that extends beyond the field. Making lacrosse a sanctioned high school sport will give more students the opportunity to grow both as athletes and as individuals. Sanctioning lacrosse would give me and many others the opportunity to compete for our school and create many memories that will last a lifetime. I hope you will support Senate Bill 305 so that more students in Nevada can experience this amazing game. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. McClay. I know there's someone else sitting there in Vegas. Please go ahead, state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Hi, my name is Rylan Peterson. Last name spelled Peterson. I'm a 9th grader at Pinecrest Sloan Canyon High School in Nevada. I am here to express my strong support for Senate Bill 305, which would officially sanction lacrosse as a high school sport in Nevada. As a lacrosse player, I've seen firsthand how this sport has fostered teamwork, discipline, and leadership. Lacrosse is not about just competition. It's about building relationships and developing skills to help us both on and off the field. The sport has given me confidence and taught me the importance of hard work and perseverance. Sanctioning lacrosse would provide more students like me with this opportunity to compete at a high level, represent our schools, and create long-lasting memories. It would also allow our state to catch up with the growing interest in lacrosse across the nation. I know many of my teammates and classmates would benefit from having more opportunities to play and improve. I hope you will support Senate Bill 305 so that more students in Nevada can experience the positive impact of lacrosse. Thank you for considering this important step towards expanding our opportunities for students throughout the state.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. If there's anyone else in Las Vegas, please come forward at this time. As they do that, we're going to shift back here to Reno, and we'll start here with our three gentlemen who are sitting here. Please state your name, spell your last name for the record, and again, you'll have 2 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Jeremy Sieverts, last name Sieverts. Good afternoon, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Dendera Loop, and distinguished members of the committee. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here today on behalf of lacrosse. I'm a Las Vegas resident, a teacher at Pinecrest Sloan Canyon, and a high school lacrosse coach and nonprofit director for Pirates Lacrosse Club, and co-founder of Westward Lacrosse, the largest provider of lacrosse programming to the Las Vegas community. I've also been blessed to have played collegiately at the University of Maryland and professionally for 10 years in Major League Lacrosse and the Premier Lacrosse League. I'm honored to be here today to proudly support Senate Bill 305. To me, this bill is simply about one objective: providing opportunities for young people in the state of Nevada to follow lacrosse. As a second-generation lacrosse player in my family, lacrosse has been a part of my entire life. While I can't share all of my story today, I can share a major theme has simply been following lacrosse, sometimes excitedly and willingly, and other times with uncertainty, but without hesitation, I've followed the game, and it's simply made all the difference. From competing on an athletic scholarship for my home state, the University of Maryland, to enrolling at Durham University in England to coach lacrosse and earn my master's degree as part of their postgraduate sports scholarship program, to playing 10 seasons professionally, moving west to coach high school, and sitting here before you talking about my favorite sport and North America's oldest sport, lacrosse. There's no better time to follow lacrosse, as the opportunities now for young people to continue to develop educationally through scholarships, name, image, and likeness opportunities, competing professionally and internationally now in the Olympics and beyond. Our neighbors in California and Utah have both sanctioned lacrosse, and further have both added college programs and professional teams. Sanctioning lacrosse in Nevada would not only provide young people the opportunities to follow where the sport leads them, but also to return home in the future to Nevada, to a more robust lacrosse community with more opportunities to get back to the game. I tell my players frequently most of the good things in my life are due to lacrosse. I believe with the passage of Senate Bill 305, more young people will be provided the opportunities I've been so blessed to experience and more by following lacrosse.
Thank you, Mr. Sieverts. Please go right ahead, state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Hello, Connor Kirst, Kirst. Good afternoon, appreciate the opportunity here. Like I said, my name is Connor Kirst, and I serve as the team captain for the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, as well as the director of youth lacrosse. Lacrosse is a remarkable sport that fosters community, and it would be an excellent opportunity for students to compete and represent their schools at the highest level. Over the past 3.5 years, I've witnessed significant growth and enthusiasm for lacrosse across all age groups. During my visits to various elementary and middle schools throughout Las Vegas, I've introduced the sport to thousands of kids, and there's a genuine interest in participating. It is important that we provide these young athletes with the opportunity to engage in this beautiful game. I'm so grateful for lacrosse, not for the games or championships I've won, but because of the relationships I've formulated with coaches and teammates that are truly lifelong relationships. Having grown up in New Jersey, where there's a rich tradition and community around the sport, I've had the honor and privilege to be a part of it, and it would be incredible to put the foundation in place for something similar here in Nevada. It is an honor to be here today, and I really appreciate you listening, but it all starts with your help in getting Bill 305 passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirst. Please go right ahead.
My name is Justin Cutler, Cutler, and I'm the president of the High Sierra Lacrosse League. It's the organization responsible for the administration of lacrosse here in Reno, Tahoe area. And just an honor to be able to be here and speak in favor of Senate Bill 305. I'd like to give a little history of lacrosse in Reno. We started 20 years ago to this year, and it was just one high school program, a boys program at Galena. And over the last 20 years, we've seen that grow to 600 student athletes at the high school level, 1,200 including the youth level. There's 10 boys varsity programs in Reno and the surrounding counties, to include Fallon and Douglas, and then 9 varsity girls programs. So incredible growth here locally in the game of lacrosse. And I'd like to address a couple things. As far as the effort to get it sanctioned, we've worked with the NIAA over the last probably decade and connect with them on a yearly basis to see how we can move the sport to a fully sanctioned, recognized varsity sport in the schools. And there's not a clear path forward for us. There's not a clear map to getting the sport fully sanctioned. And then in referencing, a 4-year threshold to get the sport as a fully sanctioned sport, that's a whole high school career. So not one of the jerseys that you see in this room or the 4 overflow rooms will ever be recognized as a varsity athlete in their sports right now. So I think this is a remarkable and commendable effort to get this bill in front of the Senate in support of Nevada's student athletes. Funding-wise, the High Sierra Foundation in that 20-year period has spent over $600,000 to fund the growth of the sport and growing programs. And they have over $300,000 in the foundation to support this effort and to be there in the development of programs, equipment, underwriting coaches, all those things.
Mr. Cutler, would you?
Yeah, we have lots of resources to support this effort. Full support here from the High Sierra Lacrosse League.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you gentlemen being here. You can go ahead and step back. Okay, no. We don't have enough time for applause on either side of the issue. We'll just keep our decorum. There's no one else in Las Vegas, so we will go to the phone lines. AVS, is there anyone on the phone line? We'll take 3, please.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of Senate Bill 305, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue or raise hand in your Zoom window.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and distinguished members of the committee. My name is Christy Cahill, last name spelled Cahill, and I appreciate the opportunity to join you today. I'm speaking on behalf of World Lacrosse, the international governing body for the sport of lacrosse, as recognized by the International Olympic Committee. We represent 93 member nations across 6 continents. We are charged with the important task of growing, developing, promoting, governing, and leading the sport around the world. As one of the only U.S.-based international sports federations, we care deeply about the growth of lacrosse in this country. This is where the game was created among Native Americans. It is our original team sport with a truly unique history and cultural significance that prevails today. Lacrosse is one of the fastest growing sports in the world, and in 2028, it will take the global stage at the Olympic Games in Los Angeles as a medal sport for the first time in over a century. The return of lacrosse to the Olympics and debut of women's lacrosse in the Games is already fueling unprecedented growth worldwide, inspiring new generations of athletes to take up the game. This momentum presents an incredible opportunity, not just globally, but right here in Nevada. We see firsthand how access to lacrosse creates pathways for young athletes to engage in their communities, excel in academics, represent their country on the world stage, and possibly pursue careers in the sport. With the Olympic spotlight on lacrosse in just over 3 years, the sport's popularity will surge with the potential to reach a global audience of 5 billion people. That surge will not just occur in traditional hotspots, but in emerging markets such as Nevada, where young athletes will be inspired to play and deserve the same opportunities as their peers in other states. We strongly urge you to support Senate Bill 305 to sanction lacrosse as a high school sport. By doing so, you are not just recognizing a sport, you are investing in a global movement and in the future of Nevada's student athletes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cahill. We'll go to the next caller online. AVH, is there another caller?
Yes, ma'am. We have 2 additional callers.
Yes, my name is Cy Frederick, last name Frederick. Thank you for your time today. In support of this bill, I am the athletic administrator at Faith Lutheran Middle School and High School. And I am standing here here today to be in support of this bill of sanctioning lacrosse in Nevada. I've firsthand witnessed over the last decade or so lacrosse at Faith Lutheran grow our community and grow our athletes' ability to belong, find a place of belonging in both our girls and boys programs. It's been a tremendous thing for our school and our community. It's provided a pathway for a lot of our athletes socially and athletically. And I would look forward to seeing it being sanctioned in Nevada so that all of our high schools have the same opportunity and the same pathway. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick. I believe we have one more caller, and we only have about 5 minutes left on support, so you might want to keep it tight, or again, a good diddle was a good thing. Please go ahead, AVH.
Caller, you're unmuted. Please proceed. My apologies, Chair. The caller has disconnected, and there are no additional callers in support at this time.
Oh, they dropped off. Okay. All right, then we'll go. There's no one else in Vegas. We'll come right here, gentlemen. Just please go ahead and start when you're ready. Give us your last name.
Good afternoon. Finn Hansen, Hansen, for the record. I'm a freshman at Bishop Manoa Catholic High School, and I'm here to fully support SB 305. As you may know, I'm actually the grandson of Senator Hansen, but don't use that against me.
I was going to say, you shouldn't have said that, so no, please go right. I won't take your time, but go ahead, please. Thank you.
Like many, I'm the first in my family to play lacrosse, and for its very new sport in Nevada. And also, like many, I've grown to love the game, and it's been a passion for me now. We are very fortunate to have very experienced coaches, talented players, and a community that supports and for this growing sport. I would like to bring up 3 points. Firstly, by playing lacrosse, I'm able to be part of a team that represents our school, our community, and our state. And by making lacrosse a sanctioned sport, it increases access to people, and especially those who have to pay to be part of these clubs, and opens doors to us all and equally. Competition may be hard to find, and especially if we're only able to play in Nevada. And making lacrosse a sanctioned sport allows for more teams and states that we can play in more competition around. Lastly, pursuing lacrosse after high schools can be difficult, but by making it a sanctioned sport, colleges can look at this and it can be easier to pursue it and possibly even get scholarships to help assist in college. So I appreciate your support and look forward to how this may impact me and current and future players. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hansen. Please go ahead.
Hello, my name is TJ Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, and I'm here to voice my support for Senate Bill 305. I am the head coach of the University of Nevada Men's Lacrosse Club, an MCLA Division I program. I do not represent the University of Nevada, and my opinions and thoughts expressed today are my own. I was born in Reno, Nevada, and started playing lacrosse in 6th grade. I instantly fell in love with the sport and knew that I wanted to play in college, but that would prove an extremely difficult task for me, given the barriers that existed because lacrosse was not a sport that was fully supported by the local high schools. I feared that colleges would not take me seriously. Access to game film, athletic resources such as a weight room, field space during inclement weather, and academic support for missing classes for travel games would still prove to be hurdles in my recruiting journey. To overcome these challenges, my single mom had to invest massive amounts of time and resources to try to make my dream come true. This included driving me 4 hours to San Francisco every single Sunday in the summer to practice with a travel team that had the resources to travel to the East Coast. Through the monumental effort of my mom and the High Sierra Lacrosse League, in the summer of 2015, I committed to the University of Denver, a top 10 NCAA Division I program led by the greatest lacrosse coach of all time, Bill Tierney. Since my commitment to Denver, High Sierra Lacrosse has generated multiple NCAA and MCLA college players, both men and women, including AJ Mercurio, who now plays lacrosse professionally and was my teammate at Denver. This is with the hurdles I mentioned earlier. Imagine how many more success stories would exist if those hurdles were gone. My 4 years playing lacrosse for Denver was the most valuable and transformative experience of my life. So much so that I came back to Reno and now volunteer 12 plus hours a week as the head coach of UNR Men's Lacrosse Club in an attempt to share my experience with as many lacrosse players as possible. With lacrosse becoming an NIAA sanctioned sport, many of the hurdles I experienced in my recruiting journey would disappear, allowing for many more Nevada lacrosse players to have the same amazing college experience I had. There are players in high school right now who are of NCAA level talent
Mr. Wright,
that are facing I have one more sentence.
Okay.
That are facing these same hurdles that would benefit greatly from the passage of Bill 305. I fully
That was
support
one,
lacrosse
Mr. Wright.
becoming an NIAA sanctioned
That was
sport.
one,
Thank
Mr.
you for
Wright.
your time.
And thank you for sharing your story. Appreciate that. Please go ahead.
Hello all, thank you. My name is Braden Worthington for the record. Last name spelled Worthington. I played lacrosse at Douglas High School from 2017 to 2021, where it remains as a club sport. Lacrosse had a huge impact on my life. Not only did I build lifelong friendships, but I also earned a scholarship to play in Idaho. Now as the head coach of the Douglas Boys lacrosse team, I see firsthand how this sport benefits our students. This year we nearly have 30 players, both experienced and new. Lacrosse keeps them active, teaches teamwork, and motivates them to maintain good grades and good attendance. However, financial barriers prevented some students from playing. While our program has provided scholarships to cover these costs, sanctioning lacrosse at the NIAA level would eliminate this hurdle altogether. Lacrosse is a rapidly growing sport, and Nevada should be a part of this growth. I urge you to support Senate Bill 305 and give more students the benefit from this incredible sport that I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burlington, and I really mean that. Thank you for sharing your stories. Okay, gentlemen, that 20 minutes is up, so we will now go to opposition. Is there any opposition here today to Senate Bill 305 here in Carson City or in Las Vegas? Please come forward, and if you're on the phone, would like to call in phone line, that number is 888-475-4499. 870 is the meeting ID is 870-5442-9474. Please go ahead when you're ready. We're going to start the clock.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Tom Clark. I'm here on behalf of the Nevada Association of School Boards. There's no argument that lacrosse is a big deal in this state. We're seeing it in Northern Nevada, Southern Nevada, even in some of our rural parts of this state. The NASB is opposed to 305 simply because we have a set of rules that these athletes and their organizers have to follow through the NIAA to become a sanctioned sport. And a lot of the things that are in there are very, very important because it sets the standard for us to be able to set these programs up in each of the individual schools and each of the individual districts. And so I don't want to say jump the line because it's not really what it is, but coming to the legislature to force the NIAA to push this forward and sanction it with the deadlines and the timeframes that it has, the school boards simply have to oppose the bill at this time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Please go ahead.
Hello, Tess Opferman here on behalf of the Washoe County School District. I want to echo NASB's concern. So this is not about supporting lacrosse or not supporting lacrosse. We love lacrosse. It's a great sport. I'm really excited that a number of Washoe County School District students are here supporting the bill. It is a great bill, or a great sport. That said, NIAA does have a system in which they bring sports into the district, and we have to follow that system. We don't see there being a point to singling out lacrosse and putting that in state law. We don't single out baseball, football, or any other sport. Those are done through NIAA. Those are not put in NRS. I know for the Washoe County School District, we're concerned about the cost to the district. We have a process through NIAA where we can evaluate those costs. Much of the funding that goes to NIAA comes from the school districts. So we're really concerned about that piece. We're also concerned about Title IX and making sure that there are women's sports teams as well. I found it interesting. Like I said, I love lacrosse, and I know women's lacrosse is also popular, but we just saw a number of men testifying on this bill. We want to make sure when sports are in schools that there are sports teams for women as well, following those Title IX requirements. So I know that NIAA is here today and can give more details, but with that, the Washoe County School District is opposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Opperman. Please go ahead.
Tim Jackson, Executive Director, NIAA, JACKSON. I'm here on behalf of the NIAA in opposition to the Senate bill. We're not in opposition to athletics. We're not in opposition to lacrosse. We're in opposition to the process they're attempting to do. We support student athletics, but we also have to look at the overall benefit of bringing it on as a sanctioned sport. Not that it doesn't benefit students academically, socially, emotionally, or just as a part of a team. Every stat that was shared with you today could be shared for every sport that we currently offer in Nevada and many sports that we don't offer in Nevada. This is a common theme. We are the #1 dropout prevention program in Nevada. Our students graduate. And we want to continue that. And we're not saying that the lacrosse players would not. We're saying we'd like to bring them through the process. We also are concerned with this funding. We do not want there to be an inherent disproportionality of funding. There is no one sport greater than another. They're all equitable and equal for all of our student athletes. What we are asking for is that this be reviewed and closely scrutinized, because we do not want there to be the appearance that we are funneling money out of the NIA into a certain sport. We do not function in that manner. We are not a funding source. Student athletics is funded by the school districts that participate. Likewise, we are also concerned with the wraparound services that they're asking the NIA to provide. That is a school-based item, and I do believe that that exists at the school level and would continue to exist that way. The introduction of a new sport must be done in a way that fosters competitive balance, varying sizes of financial capabilities, and the ability of the schools to meet those capabilities must be addressed. My biggest concern is the word sanctioning. I think there's a very, very confused statement as to what sanctioning would involve. There are many intricacies to sanctioning, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you would have about it. But the one thing I think we need to consider, there was a mention of a tournament that brings club teams to Nevada that competes in Las Vegas. Sanctioning would mean our teams could no longer compete against those teams because we do not allow club versus high school
Mr. Jackson, we're
competition.
going to need you to wrap
Okay.
up, please, sir.
At the
Thank
end,
you.
though, we are not in favor of this bill, and we stand in opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Seeing no one in Las Vegas, is there anyone on the phone lines, AVH, who would like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 305?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition to Senate Bill 305, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you, AVH. We'll come right back here to Carson City. Is there anyone else here in Carson City who would like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 305? Okay, seeing none, we have some minutes left on the table, so we will open it back up for support. Oh, yeah, neutral. Sorry. Thank you, Senator Titus. Yeah, right. Instead of. Is there anyone here who would like to testify neutral? In Carson City, in Las Vegas, seeing none on the phone lines?
To testify in neutral to Senate Bill 305, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Senator Titus. Thank you, AVH. We will, since there's no one here to testify in neutral, we will open it back up for support testimony. If there's anyone here in Carson City who would like to continue support testimony, we'll give some time for that. Please come forward. Seeing no one else in Las Vegas, please come forward. Give us your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Luke Funk, F-U-N-K. I go to Our Lady of the Snow School in Reno, Nevada. I play lacrosse for North Reno Outlaws, and I travel to represent our community with the High Sierra Avalanche. I play for both teams. I'm here today in support of SB 305. Will you please pass this bill because it will help our lacrosse community grow? I have played many sports including basketball, flag football, soccer, baseball, skiing, and others. Lacrosse is my favorite sport. It's my favorite sport because it is the most fun out of all of them. Lacrosse brings people together. I make good friends through lacrosse. Lacrosse has also taught me that in order to get better at something, you have to practice and try hard. It has taught me that hard work pays off. I look forward to being able to play lacrosse in high school with my friends. If you pass this bill, my friends and I would have a better high school experience. More people would be able to play lacrosse in high school. Will you please pass this bill because it would make high school a better experience for my friends and me.
Thank you so much. Job well done. Please, sir, go right ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andre Luamrung, Lueamrung, and I love playing lacrosse. I am in 5th grade and play for the North Reno Outlaws and the High Sierra Avalanche travel team. Lacrosse is very special because it uses every skill: running, passing, teamwork, and quick thinking. When I play lacrosse, I feel strong, focused, and empowered. Playing lacrosse is important for kids like me. It keeps me active and healthy. It teaches me teamwork, discipline, and how to overcome challenges. I love to be part of my school lacrosse team and compete against other schools. Right now, so many kids don't know how amazing lacrosse is because they have never had the chance to play it. If we make it an official school sport, every kid can try it and see why it's so special. So please, pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much again. Job well done. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, John Funk, Funk. I am a father of a lacrosse player. My son sits to my right. I am a coach of lacrosse players. One of my other players sits to my left. I've been coaching in Northern Nevada for nearly 15 years now. Been involved in trying to have lacrosse sanctioned at the school district level. I can confirm for you all that the impact of lacrosse is unquestioned. It seems like that's the same for everybody. Candidly, the things we are hearing from the NIAA and others is the same thing we've been hearing for the last 10 years. There's always an excuse, there's always a reason. There's something difficult in our path, and that's a reason why you shouldn't take